ENS191 Engineering Economy, Module 6 Present Economy Studies. So for this lesson, we will be performing economic studies that does not involve interests. So by the end of this module, you should be able to understand and solve present economy studies. So studies that do not require or consider time money value relationships are sometimes called present economy studies and generally involves selection between alternatives of design, materials, or methods. So interest in this type of economic studies are not a factor. So purely a mathematical problem or analysis. So the effect of interest do not apply. So interest is not a factor here because there is no investment of capital. Only out-of-pocket costs are involved. So after any first cost is paid, the long-term cost will be the same for all the alternatives or will be proportional to the first cost. And lastly, the alternatives will have essentially identical results regardless of the capital investment involved. So one of these are selection among materials. So one of the most frequent types of present economy studies is that in which selection must be made among the materials, especially in a construction for civil engineering and a sa mga construction plants. Now, as more new specialized materials become available, such problems become more and more numerous. So these studies are frequently complicated by the fact that materials usually differ from each other in more than one properties. So could be, for example, in a machine, each material could differ in production, amount produced, speed of production. So there can be difference on more or one or more factors. Next is total cost materials selection. So in a large portion of case, economic selection between materials cannot be based solely on the cost of materials, especially if it is in large portion or maramihang materials. So, hindi lang siya about sa cost. So, very frequently, a change in materials will also affect the processing costs and often the shipping cost of may be altered. So, there are other costs that must be considered. Next is the proficiency of labor. So workers of different proficiencies frequently produce different amount of output in a given time. So depending on the output on the skill of the laborers, each one of the labor could give different output at a given time. So through the use of various types of incentives, workers of all types may be induced to develop and exhibit different degrees of proficiency, resulting in various levels of output. So let us solve some problems that is related to present economy studies. Okay, so first problem, an electrical contractor has a job which should be completed in 100 days. So at present, he has 80 men on the job and it is estimated that they will finish the work in 130 days. So meaning the project is 100 days duration, but with his 80 men, they can finish in 130 days. So they are beyond the given deadline. So if the 80 men, 50 are paid 190 a day, 25 are at 220 a day, and 5 are at 300 pesos a day, and if if for each day beyond the original 100 days, the contractor has to pay 2,000 as liquidated damages. So the question is, how many more men should the contractor add so he can complete the work on time? So ilan yung i-add na men doon sa 80 para matapos niya yung work in 100 days? Now, if the additional men of yung additional men, 5 of them are paid 220 pesos, so magiging 30 na sila. And the rest are 90. So would the contractor save money by employing more men and not paying the fine? So the alternative here is to pay the 30 days na excess, that is 2,000 times 30, uh, um, so merong 60,000, and over employing new workers. So A, so we will let X be the number of men to be added. Okay, so we will equate man days. So we have, so for his current men, 80 men, matatapos sila within 30 days. Now if you add X to the 80, they'll finish by 100 days. So what is the value of X? So this is the only variable here. So X will be equal to 24 men. So the contractor will need additional of 24 men to finish the work in 100 days. So B. So if the 5 of the 24 men are paid 220 and the rest, which is 19, so 19 are paid 190 a day, would the contractor save money by employing more men or paying the fine? So for the wages, so let's start with if he will not hire 24 men but instead pay a fine. So of the 80, 50 are paid 190 a day, 25 are paid 220 a day for 130 days, and then 5 are paid 300 for 130 days, and the damages of 2,000 for 30 days. So this is equals to 1,235,000, 715,000, 105,000, and 60,000. So for a total of 2,205,000. So if he will not hire 24 men and proceed with 80 men but pay a fine of 30 days, so may agagastos siya ng 2,205,000. So now, if meron siyang 104 men, meaning mag-hire siya ng another 24 men, so that is, so yung initial 50, which is mag-a-add ng 19, that pays 190 a day for 100 days. And then yung 25, meron pang additional 5, 220 is 100. And the 5 times 100. Okay, so this is equals to 1,311,000, 660,000, and 150,000. So the total is 2,121,000 pesos. So saving would be 2,205,000. So it is clear that hiring 24 men would be the most, or would be the right choice. So by hiring 24 men and not paying the 30 days excess, the contractor will save an amount of 84,000 pesos. So it is better to hire 24 men over than paying the 30 days na fine. So that is for problem number 1. So as you can see, wala tayong ginamit na interest, compound interest. So more on mathematical analysis or mathematical problems. So second problem, the monthly demand for ice cans being manufactured by Mr. Cruz is 3,200 pieces. So with a manually operated guillotine, the unit cutting cost is 25 pesos. So on using this manually operated guillotine, the unit cost, or the cost for each can being cut, is 25 pesos. So an electrically operated hydraulic guillotine was offered to Mr. Cruz at price of 275,000, which will cut by 30% the unit cutting cost of the cans. So disregarding the cost of money, how many months will Mr. Cruz be able to recover the cost of the machine if he decides to buy now? So the problem number 1 is about labor proficiency. So now this problem is about alternatives among the machines. So for the manually operated manual, the monthly cost is equals to, so for a month meron siyang 3,200 pieces na cans multiplied by 200 pesos per can. So the cost is 80,000 pesos. Now Mr. Cruz will buy a new machine which is electrically operated for a worth 275,000, and the good side of this is the unit cost will be reduced by 30%. So this will basically give Mr. Cruz a savings after a period of time pag nabawi na yung ginastos niya. So how long will he start actually saving? So for electrically operated, so the monthly cost is equals to, so 3,200 times 25 multiplied by so it is reduced by 30%, so 1 minus 0.3, or multiply mo ng 0.7, which is equals to 56,000. So if we will use electrically operated, magiging 56,000 na lang yung monthly cost niya compared dun sa 80,000. So his savings would be 80,000 minus 56,000, which is equals to 24,000 pesos per month. So, malaking savings na to. So, for how long will he actually start saving after the cost for buying the machine is recovered? So, the number of months is equals to, so the price of the machine over 24,000, this should be equals to 11.5 months. So almost a year bago siya actually na makapag-start. So that is for the problem number 2. Okay, so problem number 3. The making of rivet holes in structural steel members can be done by 2 methods. So the first method consists of laying out the position of the holes in the members and using a drill press costing 30,000 pesos. So the machinist or the operator is paid 35 pesos per hour and he can drill 30 holes per hour. And the second method is to make use of a multiple punch machine costing 27,500 and the punch operator is paid 30 pesos per hour and can only punch out 4 holes for every minute. So mas mabilis siya. So this method also requires an expense of 1.75 pesos per hole to set the machine. So mabilis yung pag-punch, but merong additional cost. So A, if all other costs are assumed equal, what is the total cost for each machine for 6,000 holes? So if you were to punch out 6,000 holes, what is the total cost for first method and the second method? Assuming that the total cost of each machine is to be charged to these holes. So problem number or B, for how many holes will the cost be equal? So A. Okay, so A. So for the drill press, so since the rate of the operator is per hour, our base unit is per hour. So for 6,000 holes over 30, so 30 yung kaya per hour. So meaning the for the first method, the operator can finish the 6,000 holes within 200 hours. So for the wage, we have 35 pesos for 200 hours. So meron siyang 7,000. And then sa cost of the drill, which is equals to 30,000 pesos. Okay, so the total cost for the drill press is equals to 37,000 pesos for the 6,000 na holes. So ngayon, for the multiple punch, so meron siyang 6,000 divided by, so for every minute, meron siyang 4 holes. So 1 hour is 60 minutes. So within 25 hours, matatapos ng multiple punch yung 6,000 holes. So grabe yung bilis ng multiple punch. Now, for the wage, so, ito na lang. Is equals to 30 pesos for 25 hours, 750. And then, for the setting up of the machine, so this cost, so merong 1.75 for each hole, and then is equals to 10,500. So for the cost of machine, which is 27,500. So overall cost is 38,750. So meaning, mas nakasave pa din siya dun sa manual na drill press. So though malaki yung na-save niya sa wage or yung sahod ng operator, but for the additional cost na 1.75 per hole for setting up the machine, dun naman nagdagdag ng gastos. So merong difference na 1,750. So for the question of A, mas may savings dun sa manual na drill press. Okay, so for B, we will let X be the number of holes for equal costs. So, okay, so for the cost of drill press, is equals to, so for the number of hours, around 30 per hour, then 35 pesos yung payment, plus the 30,000 na cost ng drill press. So this will be equal to 7 times 7x over 6 plus 30,000. So this will be our equation 1. So for the cost of punch machine, X, so ganang problem kanina, times 30 pesos plus 1.75 times X plus 27,500. So this will be X over 8 plus 1.75x plus 27,500. So if the costs are equal, so what are the X? So we'll equate the equations 1 and 2. So equation 1 is 7x over 6 plus 30,000 equals to x over 8 plus 1.75x plus 27,500. So x is equals to 3,500 30 holes. So after punching out 3,530 holes, the cost is equal. So this means that if you are going to punch 3,530 or less, it is better to use the punch machine. But if holes are more than 3,530, just like in 6,000, it is um, wiser to use the drill press since makakasave ka na. Okay, so fourth problem. So the volume of the raw material required for a certain machine part is 2.02 cubic centimeter. So the finished volume is 1.05 cubic centimeter. So the time for machining each piece is 45 seconds for steel and 30 seconds for brass. So the cost of steel is 32 pesos and 50 cents per kilogram, and the value of steel scrap is negligible. The cost of the brass is 60 pesos per kilogram, but the value of the brass scrap or yung scrap na brass are can be sold to 25 pesos per kilogram. So the wage of the operator is 40 pesos per hour and the overhead cost of the machine is 50 pesos per hour. The weight of steel and brass are 0.0081 and 0.0088 kilogram per cubic centimeter respectively. Which material will you recommend? So the problem here is which of the materials, steel and brass, will give you a larger saving in creating the certain machine part. Okay, so first is we will solve the weight. So yung weight ng steel and then yung brass. Okay, so the weight is, so this is 2.02 cubic centimeter, and yung weight ng steel is 0.0081. So this is equals to, so each part weighs, so for the raw material of each part is 0.101636 kilogram. Now for the cost, so materials, so para sa material, the cost is, so for each material weighs 0.0136 multiplied by 30 pesos, 32.50 per kilogram of the steel, so 0.5317. So this is per unit nung certain machine part. So for the wage ng operator, so meron tayong 45, so 45 seconds over 3,600. So 40 pesos. So there are 3,600 seconds per hour multiplied by 40 pesos. So for a 1 unit of material, merong payment na 50 cents. So for the overhead cost, merong 45 over 360 times 50 pesos per hour. We'll have 0.6250. So for the steel, so if you're going to use steel for this machine part, per unit, gagastos ka ng 1.6567 pesos. So for the brass naman, so first is the weight, so 2.02 multiplied by, so brass is a little heavier compared to steel. Meron siyang 0.01778 kilograms. Now for the cost, so the material 0.01778 multiplied by 60 pesos per kilogram, 1.0668. And then for the wage of the operator, so 30 seconds for 40 pesos per hour, giving 0.333. And then for the overhead, this overhead, times 50, 0.4167. So sa brass, the scrap material is pwede siyang ibenta ng 25 pesos per kilogram. So the volume of the scrap is 2.02 minus 1.05 multiplied by its weight and also multiplied by the price per kilogram. So this is equals to 0.2134. So these three are cost spent, but for the salvage or for the scrap, this is a income. So ima-minus natin yung scrap. So the total cost for each material using brass as its raw material will be equal to 1.6034 pesos. So using brass will give us saving. So meron siyang saving na 0.05 pesos. So that is how you compare among the materials. So references. So that ends our module 6. So have a good day and thank you for listening.